Ready, Denise?
It's gonna be good.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to call the Mayor Board of Selectmen meeting to order, January 19th. Everybody please rise, remove your hats, and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Item 3, public comments. Does anybody have a comment or ready to ask a question? Norm? Okay, you're done. Approval of minutes, January 4th, 2016.
I move we approve as submitted.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the January 4th minutes. Any additions or corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? January 6th,
So moved. Second?
additions, corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes have it, so ordered. Letters and petitions. One abstention. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. Petitions and communication. A, letter dated December 17, 2015, from Will Grader from Waste Management regarding the cost of household hazardous waste drop-off day. You can come to the office any day and read that. Reports of standing committees. General Government Committee met this morning, and met this afternoon at 6 o'clock.
It wasn't this morning.
Whatever, so, I've been here all night. Go ahead, Elma.
So clarification, Doug says and we'll be revisiting that in 30 days. So we're gonna revisit that and hopefully have that buttoned up within 30 days. Mobile food truck board regulations, town administrator's contract, and non-union personnel policies were all discussed. Roy's recently joined the committee, so a lot of catch-up on the ordinances, I'm sorry, not the policy of food truck. And we did talk about the non-union personnel policies, that we're gonna revisit those. As far as town administrator's contract, we normally, as a committee, did do kind of like an assessment of Doug. To simplify it a little bit this year, the committee has asked that if the selectmen would like to do comments on Doug's performance throughout the year, and you can submit them to the general government committee. You can do it to me and I'll get it out to the committee or whatever, and those will be included in what Tony writes up on him to, and then what Doug has until the next selectmen's meeting to get us his contract. My goodness. his- Huh?
My achievements.
Yes, and an achievement list. So hopefully shortly thereafter, we'll have everything kind of work together. So that's where we're at.
Hand those comments in or email them by February 1st.
Yes.
All right. Special committees. Charter Revision Committee. That's gonna meet when?
Meeting tomorrow night at 6:30.
Okay,
That's just to approve the final version of their recommendations.
and that's at the Elks Club?
We might go there for a meal, then we're gonna come.
Okay.
No, actually, that's right here.
That's the old.
No, downstairs, second
Downstairs.
floor conference
How
room.
about the facilities group? Anything on that, Doug, to report?
They're actually-
They're scheduling their interviews of their short list on the 27th, 28th. There are 5 firms being interviewed. And from there, they'll make a determination whether they're, do site visits to various of the projects that these firms have been involved with. And they might even shorten it down to a shorter list for further interviews.
You were very eloquent on the radio talking about the Saving Street property. Would you like to say that very quickly so Scott can put it in his
I don't think I
photograph?
can be as eloquent.
Everybody's eloquent this time.
Too late. Anybody have any question on land conversion for the architect's RFQ for Tar Park? See none, let's move on. Special Service District Report, Renee was supposed to go, Alma took over, and Alma's gonna report that.
It was an inauguration meeting, so I did not attend.
I attended that. They basically inaugurated their, inaugurated the people, elected their new officers, and it's the same as it was before that. They gave their staff reports, and that was about it. It was a very brief meeting.
Yeah.
Who's the chairman?
20 minutes. I went into executive session and I left because
Who's made the chairman?
the same person that was.
Cut one.
I don't know. Cut one.
I
No,
thought Kathy
no.
Smagny.
No,
Norm?
Ray LaJoy is the new chairman.
Oh, I thought he was the last one.
No,
Okay,
he was the vice chairman before. I'm sorry, I
Okay,
didn't
all
mean to
right. My
interrupt you.
apologies.
thank you.
Okay, thanks. Staff reports, economic and community development. We have Delph in the audience. Anybody have any questions on Delphi's report? Okay. Building official ZEO report. Town planner? Anybody have any questions?
I got an issue on the building official report. How about we scale that report down for the first 2 pages of the ream of paper that you have in front of you?
It is, that's what, these 2 pages are in your packet.
I understand it. Why do we need this?
Because that was requested before you became a selectman, the people wanted to see where he went and what he did.
Can we make one copy of this and just leave it somewhere where somebody can come and view it?
We could make one copy and leave it on file.
Great. Save the tree, Tony.
There we go. I'm not a tree hugger, but that's a good idea. Town planner, we got town planner, he's all set. The town administrator, Doug, you have anything to, anybody have any question on Doug's report?
I do.
Okay, Peter Benoit, I mean,
Oh.
This doesn't happen often, take a picture. All right, the armory,
Yes,
how's it going with an agreement with Now?
we're getting feedback on the agreement with Now, and I think the agreement is too burdensome for both parties. And I think we're gonna be, in fact, I'm talking to the town attorney on Friday. I think we have a plan to come up with a less burdensome approach to deal with Now. I think instead of having this multi-page agreement dealing with design build and operation and maintenance, I think what one of the ideas would be is just allow them to operate on a commercial lease. The only thing that we want to make sure of is because we own the property and it was given to the town under the understanding that it'd be used for recreational municipal purposes. But since they have clearly indicated that they want to use it for recreation purposes and they're also going to allow town offices to be put into that facility, that certainly would pass muster with the state of Connecticut. But we would certainly get a ruling from the state before we entered into that agreement. But I think it's a lot it's a lot easier, it's a lot cleaner to deal with it that way. Some of the things we're talking about is, how do they go about financing, because they might not have something for collateral. They can't use the building as collateral since the town owns it, so how do they come up with the necessary ability to take a loan out? So we're gonna have further discussions with them about the financing mechanism. I do know they have their own resources in-house, but whether they have it to the extent of $1 to $2 million, that's another question.
I have a question. So I read your blurb on the item 8, the solar array.
Right.
Anything to add
Yes,
to that?
Solar City has come back to us and they think they can approach the 2 megawatt that they had on the landfill. They went back and revisited the landfill and they think they can get 700 on that. And using the Woodstock Avenue property, be able to get close to the 2 million megawatt.
And the other,
I have not talked to the other ones yet, I just haven't had the time yet.
I'd like to see what the other ones could do before we split it up.
Okay.
Renee, you got a question?
It was the same thing.
Okay, well, great minds, thinking the same
I know.
ballpark.
We're in agreement on something, so.
Quinnebog Regional Tech Park, we plan to have a advisory meeting on the 28th. That would include Brooklyn, Clonfert, Scotland, and Putnam. We'll meet right here sometime in the morning. Doug will facilitate that. We have to bring the groups together. I went to a meeting this morning and they were asking when they could give us a check. I said, just hold on, we'll take your money soon enough. So that's gonna come and be more to report after that meeting.
When that meeting's done, scheduled, finalized, can you email that to
Sure.
everybody?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The other thing on the, I was tasked with finding out a appraisal. I've got some information about firms. I still need to contact them, so I'll have that information at the next meeting.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay, move on to 10B, Army Development and Possible Use. I think Doug already just went over that. C is Cargo Falls Dam, executive session. strategy negotiations regarding pending claims of litigation. That if we talk about that, that'll be an executive session.
Is there anything that's changed on that?
Yes,
So should we move that to
yes.
the end?
I make a motion, we move that to the end of new business, item F.
I'll second that.
Motion made to move executive session down to item F. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes have it, so ordered. And just before we go in there, we may have to invite people.
Oh, yes, very true.
Okay. Grant considerations and updates, 11A, 2016 CDBG, Small Cities Block Grant for Housing Rehabilitation for $300,000. Can you explain that to me, Doug?
That's Delphus.
Delpha?
The steep grant, oh, that, yeah.
That hasn't been-
We had a meeting with Brenda, the new financial officer, and the new accounts payable clerk, along with Lisa Lowe and Associates, myself and Jackie, just to make sure that they were okay with handling some of the financial situations, which was mandated but through the financial management systems that the state put on the CDBG grants. Most municipalities use the finance department, the state wants the finance department. So our office will be handling all of the applications, all of the contracting documents, and we will be sending them over to the finance office for payment. So we've worked all of that planning out according to the state's financial management program that the town had signed on to,
So this board has to vote for that.
to apply, correct.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Scott, second by Alma, to apply for a $300,000 housing rehabilitation grant. Any discussion?
Is that the same we usually get every year?
Housing rehab, yes.
I didn't know if it was decreased. It's not the
Yeah,
same.
we can apply for 400,000.
Mhm.
It's up to,
Motion made for $300,000.
there you
So I'm trying to sneak another $100,000.
Oh, I'll take that, I figured.
It's for the good of the people.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Ayes have it, so ordered, okay. Steep Grant, 2016, $500,000 for Simunzi Park Stream Bank Stabilization and Wayfaring Signage.
We only got the stream bank stabilization application.
So Delphi gets thrown into the river. So all this $500,000 is going to Simunzi Park. If you've ever walked there, the river trail, you'll notice that the banks of the river are eroding. We have to bolster them up, and the estimated cost is between $400,000 and $500,000. Hopefully we get this steep grant. And this morning I met with Lieutenant Governor Nancy Wyman and told her about steep grants on towns up in the Northeast kind of get left out, and richer towns come away with steep grants for baseball fields and softball fields and football fields and turf fields, and yet when it comes to a town, I guess Putnam doesn't give the elected officials enough money, and that's basically the bottom line. So we did get our share of steep grants, but the last several have been awful, the way they dispersed them. So hopefully she got the message, and we'll tell April Capone, who's in charge of that. Capone. I like the last name. It has a nice ring to it.
So I move that we apply for the 500,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to apply for the $500,000 to shore up the banks of the Quinnebog in some Muncie Park area. Any discussion?
I just wanna know what the wayfaring signage, was that for down there, Delphi, or was that?
This is wayfinding, this was a study that we did a couple years
Oh,
ago.
yeah,
Yes, but I guess it's out now, we're not, are we still applying for
Well, I
that?
didn't get any information, so I had to go with what I had.
So you got thrown under the bus, Delphi. It's a tough world out there. It's just,
I have enough, it was a week to get this in,
I know.
I had to get some information together, and if she didn't step up, then
She loses.
she loses.
yeah. How much was that portion that?
150,000.
150.
How much?
150 for signs.
Those some fancy signs.
150,000?
Yeah.
Okay,
You're thinking of doing it for like 25 grand?
I'm thinking crayons.
Well,
This was not just for putting up a couple of gateway signs. This was based on the study and estimates of what each sign costs. This is replacing the kiosks on the entire river trail. This is the gateway signage. This is directional signage. It's for replacing all of the informational signage. There's a whole program, and that was an estimate.
Are there any other grant opportunities that you think we could use for this?
Oh, we always have the Ash Landfill funds, we could put it in under the 5-year capital.
And it was one of the ones that was gonna be, that was proposed to the Board of Finance for the Economic Development Trust Fund,
Right. Okay,
along with the new well and
right.
All right, all those in favor of applying for the steep grant, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Ayes have it. New business, building Hemingway Mill presentation by
Could
John.
Could I just add something? We have a request from, through Delphi, and whether you want to add this to the agenda or not is, you know, it's going to be up to the board, of course. But on the trestle sign, the Putnam sign on both sides of the P&W trestle, they've made a request if we could waive the $25 sign permit for that project. Any building permit usually comes to the Board of Selectmen to be waived if that's.
So we can add that on.
If you want to.
Can we add that on prior to our executive? I don't know where that would be at this point. On the, so that'd be
E1.
20, E1 or
Yeah.
EA, or whatever you wanna call it.
And you forgot to add the aging
Aging
commission.
commission.
That could be E2.
There we go.
That's gotta go in the town meeting, because we
You
appointed
have an
the
existing aging committee.
committee
Okay.
waiting, because we
Right.
waiting
Okay.
for it to be approved at town meeting, which is.
So,
So you made a
What
motion
would
to
make
add,
that mean?
To add.
motion made to add the
wait,
waiving of the $25 fee for the public.
consideration of waiving a permit fee for the signage for Welcome to Putnam.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? I mean, the sign all total costs $15,000. I think the town could,
Well, we're just doing it to
Right.
E1, yeah, okay.
okay, we'll get it. All those in favor of moving it on the agenda, placing it on the agenda? Signify by aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
And then what's this thing you want on E2, aging?
Because it was moved, we had talked about putting it to a town meeting, because we thought we needed to, which it turns out we don't.
We have an existing.
We have an existing committee, so it doesn't
Already on
need
the
to wait
books.
for town meeting.
So it's on the books, it was organized in 1965, the mayor and 7 city residents, it says, the ordinance. You know, we have to discuss, that should be town residents. And I put some inquiries out there and a lot of interest. A lot of people have volunteered already to be on this committee.
So should we
Make
put it
it
on
E2?
E2?
E2, that's what I asked.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made to put E2 Aging Committee. Seconded?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I'll explain when we get down there. Okay, now we have Building Hemingway Mill presentation by John. I can't say your last name, let's see it.
Guskowski.
How do you say that?
Guzekowski.
Guskowski. Okay, Johnny, you're up.
You got
You have to
Thank you.
about 8 minutes because of
8 minutes.
7:30.
How long is
You
the
got 8
presentation?
minutes.
We're, 8 minutes? We'll do what we can.
Unless you want to wait till after town meeting.
This
Town
is
meeting
Selectmen's
won't
meeting, they gotta go to town meeting.
We'll do what we can.
is good.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do a very, very brief presentation. Thank you for your time. As I said, my name is John Guzekowski. I'm Director of Planning with CME Associates based in Woodstock. Hopefully this time next year we can say CME Associates based in Putnam. We are just here to report a little bit on the study we did recently at the Belding Cortelli Mill on Providence Street. And I'm going to turn it over briefly to my colleague Lynn Smith, who is our Director of Architecture.
Thank you. Nice to see you all and meet others. As John said, Putnam was awarded a Make New Places grant last year to study a key property in downtown area that revitalization would be a key catalyst for invigorating the downtown. The Belding Mill was the subject of this study, and there were 4 key components that were to come out of the study. The first, all of which would facilitate a developer reinvigorating the property. The first was a National Register nomination, and the National Register nomination is a document, an historical document that talks about the significance of this building within the community, not just as bricks and mortar, but within the community, and how it's been formative in the development of Putnam. It's created, well, it was built in 1872. It's, the workers came from all over the world, and their families are the occupants of Putnam today. It's a very important piece of Putnam heritage. So the National Register document collects all this information, and if it is accepted by the National Park Service, will allow the developer to obtain tax credits, federal tax credits in the amount of 20% of eligible rehabilitation costs, and state tax credits in the amount of 25% of rehabilitation costs. So it's an important document to put in place. The second thing we did was to look at the condition of the building. There was a team of professionals, structural engineers, architectural professionals, environmental specialists, and John working through the zoning regulations. We looked at all the components of the building. This building is the last of the mill buildings built along the river, and is in the best shape and has the best architecture of that time. It has large windows, it has high ceilings, large floor plates. You can see the amount of daylight that comes into the building. All of these are sustainable design principles that we designed to today. The third component was looking at reuse scenarios for the building, and the fourth component were recommendations for continuing this revitalization process.
So we looked at several scenarios, and basically redevelopment, and then looked at what the redevelopment costs and cash flow would be to determine whether or not these reuse options were viable in today's economy and with financing opportunities. The first scenario was a boutique hotel. We looked at actually parking vehicles in the basement level and the lower level, demolishing some of the buildings to the rear, having a hotel on the second floor, which is essentially the street level where Delta's office used to be, hotel, retail, boutiques, the hotel offices. The third level would be the hotel rooms, and then 2 levels of condos or apartments above. That's the first scenario that we looked at, and that's things that have been done in other mill facilities, particularly in New England and the Northeast. The second reuse scenario was more of a ground floor retail, lived workspaces, basically, artists' lofts, where you would have studios, galleries, and workspaces, all sort of in one, in a mix of uses, in combination on the upper levels of the building. And the third scenario we looked at was, for the first 2 we did these financial pro formas. The third scenario we looked at, and we did not do a financial pro forma because the cash flow situation would be different. Looking at the fact that the town, and this is partially why we're here today, is that the town is in need of a new town hall, a new library, community center, senior center, meeting space, multi-purpose space, and looking at the square footage and costs that each of those uses independently or in combination would take. We asked the question, could Belding Mill, with its square footage available, with its structural value, could it satisfy all those uses? And the answer is yes. There's plenty of space. Our scenario would look at demolishing some of the newer portions of the building to the east, the 2-story brick section that's currently biosensory. We demolish that and make some of that parking and some of the rear building parking, so we'd be left with basically the main structure, the historic structure that you actually see in the Putnam 150th painting there. has plenty of square footage, and our estimate would be at comparable cost to building something new. And so we looked at several recommendations, several what we would call low-hanging fruit, submitting the National Register nomination, as Lynn had described, which would make it eligible for tax credits. And I should point out that all of the redevelopment scenarios really only work financially if those tax credits are considered, because as Lynn said, you know, in best case, you could get 40–45% of your eligible rehabilitation costs covered through these tax credit programs. So that it really puts a thumb on the scale of the financial models. And it makes redevelopment a much more viable option than, you know, you would think mill redevelopment would happen without that sort of tax credit. Some additional environmental analysis needs to happen because there are still some unanswered questions about the environmental condition. Fortunately, the town received a grant for $300,000 from DECD that they just need to sign the contract on, and I understand that's at the state right now. So that's easy. That could be accomplished in the next 3 to 6 months. Assuming that some cleanup is, and again, none of this stuff is out of pocket for the town. The town got a grant for this. Cleanup assistance, assuming that there is some contamination there, we believe there is some, not dramatic, but some contamination. Would be some additional cleanup funds, which again are available from the state or from EPA, brownfields cleanup funds. And some additional things to take a look at zoning regulations, because you do have the IHOD right now. I've done a couple of basically models of how much it would cost to apply for mill redevelopment under the IHOD, and it's very expensive. I think IHOD could be streamlined tremendously. There's a lot of additional neighborhood there when you look at the Foundry, when you look at Monahans, and Belding Mill. There's actually quite a bit of acreage there that could be aggregated and could be subject to a master plan. And then finally, I think the town really owes it to themselves to strongly consider the Belding Mill redevelopment as one of the options when you do your facility study. Because the mills really are Putnam. When people visit Putnam, when anyone does an analysis of Putnam, when we did Putnam visioning a couple of years ago, and even if you look at the Plan of Conservation and Development, the mills stand out as perhaps the biggest challenge, but also the biggest element of identity and opportunity. I understand I'm running out of time. That Putnam is identified by. And the mills, if left to rot, if left unhelped by the town, will be a gigantic drain on Putnam's economy and Putnam's sense of place. And with a little bit of help and the town leadership having the vision to say, this is our identity, we're going to put our investment in these important historical facilities, there's a real opportunity at very little or no additional cost to the town of building new, make a true statement about what its visions are. And we are out of time, but we are happy to have further conversation at any time and at any length with you, Mr. Mayor, or your staff.
Well, I know we have to adjourn for the town meeting, but probably not gonna take that long. So maybe we can have some questions after the town meeting?
Yeah, that would be fine. Could you stay a little longer with that?
I can stay until about 8, but.
Oh, we'll be fine.
Awesome.
Plenty of time. We need a motion to adjourn to
So moved.
Second.
a motion made.
Recess.
Second to recess to a town meeting.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay, Denise, you got the call.
I do. Town of Putnam noticed a special town meeting January 19th, 2016. The electors and citizens qualified to vote in town meeting of the town of Putnam, Connecticut are hereby notified and warned that the special meeting of said town will be held in the Daniel S. Rivero Selectmen's Chambers, Putnam Town Hall, 126 Church Street, Putnam, Connecticut, on Tuesday, the 19th day of January 2016, at 7:30 p.m. in the evening for the following purpose. 1, choose a moderator for said meeting. 2, to determine the wishes of those present and eligible to vote at town meeting of the town of Putnam on the following proposed ordinance. Be it ordained by the town meeting of the town of Putnam that the existing ordinance requiring the superintendent of schools be located within the town hall as adopted at special town meeting of June 21st, 1977 is hereby repealed. Number 3, to determine the wishes of those present and eligible to vote at town meeting of the town of Putnam upon the following proposed resolution. Resolved that the discontinuance of John Bennett Road, aka Old Road, is hereby ratified and approved from the improved portion located approximately 7/10 of a mile westerly of Killenly Avenue, westerly 800 feet more or less to the terminus of land of 9 John Bennett Road LLC at its point of intersection with Old Road John Bennett Road. Reference is made to Town of Putnam Assessor's Map, Block 45, Lots 12 and 22, as recommended by the Planning Commission. Number 4, to determine the wishes of those present and eligible to vote at town meeting for the Town of Putnam upon the following proposed resolution. Resolved that the Town of Putnam accept as town road a road to be called Technology Park Drive and approximately 1,250 feet more or less in the length and more particularly shown on a certain map entitled Quinnebog Technology Park Drive, as built as of December 18th, 2015, a copy of which map is on file in the Selectmen's office and available for public inspection during normal business hours as recommended by the Planning Commission. Date at Putnam, Connecticut, this 4th day of January 2016, Town of Putnam. Anthony P. Falzerano, Mayor. Scott Penpeck, Owen Carr, Doug Cutler Jr., Renee Lasco, Alan Maury, Roy Simmons, its Board of Selectmen, attest Sarah J. Sinay, Town Clerk.
We have to act on item 1.
First order of business.
First order of business would be to elect a moderator.
I'll make a motion, we, appoint Tony Falzarano.
Second.
Motion made to appoint Tony Falzone as the moderator for the town meeting.
I move that nominations be closed.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those in favor of Tony Falzone being moderator, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Second item, to repeal the town ordinance that the superintendent of schools be held in the town hall.
I move that we repeal it.
Second.
Motion made, second, to repeal the ordinance that put the superintendent of schools in the town hall. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We need a motion on the John Bennett Road to discontinue the John Bennett Road.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second, to discontinue John Bennett Road or the old road. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes have it. And the last item of business is to accept, is that Quinnebog Valley, Quinnebog Region Technology,
No, it's Quinn Technology Park Drive.
Technology Park Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made to make Technology Park Drive, accept that as a road. Discussion? Yes.
If we accept it here tonight, right now, does it immediately become a town road? Are we then on the hook for plowing it?
Yeah. I've already checked with Criminal, it's already on our liability roads.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor of accepting Technology Park